Humility, the key to understanding human nature. Let us now attempt to give a straightforward and truthful account of the nature of man. I am forced here again to repeat the point I made at the beginning of this chapter. The person who gains most from self-knowledge is the one who, realizing his calamity, poverty, nakedness, and shame, is humbled and appalled. There is no danger of man becoming too abased, provided he knows that in God he must recover what is lacking in himself. On the other hand, he cannot credit himself with an ounce more of goodness than he should, without perishing through false confidence, and without committing sacrilege by usurping God's glory. It is certain that whenever our mind is seized with the desire to have something for ourselves, something, that is, which lies in us rather than in God, this idea comes from the very same counselor who persuaded our original parents to want to be like God, knowing good and evil. If what exalts man in himself comes at the devil's instigation, we must rule it out, unless we want to take advice from our enemy. Of course, we all like to think we have such strength within us that we are happy with the way we are. There is, however, an abundance of statements in Scripture which should cure us of such false confidence. Consider the following. Cursed is he who trusts in man and who seeks strength in the flesh. Again, God takes no pleasure in the strength of the horse or in the legs of the strong man. His love is on those who fear him and who acknowledge his goodness. Again, he gives strength to the weary and restores him who is faint of heart. Again, he wearies and humbles those who are in the flower of youth. He brings the strong to ruin, but strengthens those who hope in him. These texts all show that no one should trust in even the smallest estimate of his own strength if he would have God as his helper. For God resists the proud and gives grace to the humble. Next, let us call to mind all these promises. I will pour out rain upon the thirsty earth, and I will water the dry ground with rivers. Again, all who are thirsty, come and draw water. There are other similar promises besides, all of them testifying that none can receive God's blessings except those who, faltering and faint, are aware of their need. Nor should we forget other promises, such as this in Isaiah. You will no longer have the sun to shine on you by day, nor the moon to give you light by night, but your God will forever be your light. Naturally, the Lord does not deprive his servants of the brightness of the sun or moon, but because he wants his glory to appear only in them, he dissuades them from trusting in what we believe to be most precious. Accordingly, I have always been very fond of Chrysostom's saying, "The foundation of our philosophy is humility." More pleasing still is Augustine's remark. When Demosthenes, the Greek orator, was asked what was the first rule of eloquence, he replied that it was delivery. When asked a second time, he gave the same answer, and likewise when asked a third time. So if you asked me what are the rules of the Christian religion, I would answer that the first, second, and third are humility. Now for Augustine, humility is not when man believes he has some power, but does not boast about it. It is when he truly knows himself to be a man whose only recourse is to humble himself before God, as he says in another place, "Let no one flatter himself. Each person is a devil, and the only good he has is what comes from God. For what do you have which is yours except sin? If you would take what is yours, take sin, for righteousness is from God." Or again, why do we presume so much on our natural powers? They are impaired, demolished, scattered, destroyed. The need is for honest confession, not false defense. Let us not then dispute with God about our rights, as if we were being somehow impoverished. For just as our abasement is his exaltation, so also confession of our humility always finds in his mercy a ready cure. I do not, however, mean that we should resign all fair claims to God, or should deliberately ignore the strengths, if any, which we may have, so as to achieve humility. I ask only that, putting aside all foolish love of self, all haughtiness and ambition, passions which all too often blind us, we look at ourselves in the mirror of Scripture.